This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Volunteers from all over Wisconsin are joining the search for missing 3-year-old Elijah Vu in the Manitowoc area. He was last reported seen on February 20th. Two Rivers police say they focused search efforts on rural areas in Manitowoc County this weekend. Time is running out for now for state lawmakers to help people in Wisconsin whose water supplies are polluted with PFAS chemicals. State Senate Democratic Minority Leader Dianne Hasselbein says it appears Governor Evers and Republicans are still too far apart on state regulatory powers.
I don't know if we're going to get there yet, but at a bottom line, they should be releasing the $125 million they have to help combat so people can turn on their taps and have clean drinking water.
Hasselbein at a WisPolitics luncheon last week. The legislative session is winding down. The Wisconsin Supreme Court's Friday decision not to revisit the state's congressional maps is a win for Republicans. Democrats wanted the High Court to order new maps. No reason was given for the brief order. There's also no word on where any individual justices stand. Republicans hold 6 of Wisconsin's 8 U.S. House seats. Suburban women in Wisconsin will have a lot to say about who wins the race for president in November. That's why First Lady Jill Biden was in Waukesha yesterday talking about reproductive rights.
We are the first generation, and I think someone said this, in a half a century, to give our daughters a country with fewer rights than we all had. Vice President Kamala Harris plans to be in Madison Wednesday. We Energies expects to spend about $335 million to build electrical infrastructure to serve Microsoft's data center in Mount Pleasant. Data centers are massive users of electricity. The U.S. Energy Department says data centers use as much as 50 times the energy of a similar-sized office space. Data centers run around the clock to support cloud computing and other data-intensive applications. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. A Carleton County fire claimed a garage and damaged a pole barn on Friday. According to the Carleton County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the fire at 3174 County Road 144 in Atkinson Township around 4:30 on Friday afternoon. When they arrived, they found the fire had destroyed a detached garage on the property and was moving towards the pole barn. Firefighters were able to stop the fire before it caused any more major damage. Nobody was reported injured in the fire, and the cause is under investigation. Duluth Mayor Roger Reinhardt is turning to community members to help decide the future of the golf course at Lester Park. The group will focus on year-round recreation opportunities and finding a way to offer golf at the park over the summer in an operation that is community-led. Mayor Reinhardt is hoping to find a plan that allows the city to continue owning the property, but turning the task of running it over to a nonprofit or foundation. 9 of the holes at the golf course have been transferred to the Duluth Economic Development Authority. Nurses at Essentia Health's 2nd Street Clinic in Duluth have officially voted to join the Minnesota Nurses Association. Organizers of the union drive are hoping for a bigger say in wages, work conditions, patient care standards, and nurse retention. They filed for a union election in January after nurses at Essentia Health's 1st Street Clinic voted to unionize and voted unanimously to join the union on Thursday. Nurses at the Alena Health Cancer Institute also voted to join the Minnesota Nurses Association this week. A rally was held in downtown Duluth over the weekend, urging Minnesota residents to vote uncommitted in the Democratic primary this week. The rally was organized in an effort to send a message to President Joe Biden's administration that voters want the violence in Gaza stopped. Last week, a higher-than-expected number of Michigan voters said they were uncommitted in an effort to do the same. Organizers say the goal isn't to vote President Biden out of office, but to show that voters want him to push harder for a ceasefire. A sauna fire cost a St. Louis County family both the sauna and their vehicle. According to the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the fire on West Brock Road in Pequaywan around 3 a.m. on Friday. Officials say the homeowners took a sauna the night before around 9 and left the embers burning in the stove. When they woke up, their sauna was completely engulfed in flames and the fire had spread to a nearby vehicle. The fire was extinguished by firefighters and none of the residents were reported injured. St. Luke's and Aspirus Health have announced they have officially combined. According to a press release, the system will now operate 19 hospitals and 130 outpatient locations with over 15,000 employees across Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The organizations announced their plans to affiliate over the summer. In the press release, Aspirus committed to honoring St. Luke's contracts and invest at least $300 million into St. Luke's strategic projects. The first heart surgeon at St. Luke's Hospital has retired after 20 years. According to a Northern News Now report, Dr. Mary Boylan is stepping down as Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery after becoming the healthcare organization's first heart surgeon in 2003. A number of other medical professionals, as well as a bunch of former patients, made appearances at St. Luke's on her final day to thank her and give her a proper send-off. Dr. Boylan will remain active in retirement and work with the American Heart Association. A maritime designation from the U.S. Department of Transportation has allowed Lake Superior College in Duluth to give students more opportunities. The designation will allow the school to train more new students and even current maritime employees in things like firefighting, welding, and repairs. Maritime officials hope the increased training will help bring more people into the field and address concerns about an aging and retiring workforce in the industry. It's now one of 50 schools nationwide to get the designation. And that's what you need to know. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
It is going to be cloudy today with a high of 46 this afternoon and some scattered rain developing this afternoon and continuing into this evening. We could get 1 to 2/10 of an inch of rain by the time it winds down. Our high today, 46 tonight, clearing 26 tomorrow, sunshine with a high back to near 50. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 34.
The Pack is back from the Combine. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers front office back from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. GM Brian Gutekunst, CEO Mark Murphy, and Special Teams Coordinator Rich Bisaccia were there. A report says the team's still trying to restructure Aaron Jones' contract, but that running back A.J. Dillon will not return and is likely headed to free agency. Badgers running back Braylon Allen was there. I asked him how his interview with the Packers went.
It went very well. I enjoyed talking with them. I liked everybody on the staff. It was a really good meeting. Just broke down some film. They asked me some, kind of football IQ questions about fronts, pressures, different defenses, things like that.
Baseball spring training, the Brewers with a 10-4 win over the Diamondbacks. NBA, despite a loss to the Nuggets, the Lakers' LeBron James becoming the first player ever to reach 40,000 career points. The Bucks spent Sunday working on their defense, their first practice at home in over a month.
There's always room for improvement, but we have the right intention, the right energy. I think everyone's in line with our principles and stuff like that. We're definitely trending in the right direction heading to playoffs.
That's Buck center Brooke Lopez. A good day for Brewer batters. The Brewers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks in Cactus League action. The final score 10-4. Willie Adames with a home run. Christian Yelich with 2 hits, 2 RBI. On how the team looks so far.
I think we're a really young team. We have a lot of young players. A lot of guys that have been around here for a while have kind of moved on or gone a different direction. We still got some guys that have been around here for a little while, and then a lot of talented young guys. And I think we'll go as far this year as the young guys take us.
The Brewers face the Giants tomorrow. NBA, Bucks play the Clippers before heading out on a 4-game road trip. College hoops, Iowa's Caitlin Clark, now the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball, surpassing Pistol Pete Maravich with a record 3,667 points. That lasted 54 years. The Badgers losing to Illinois, 91-83. Wisconsin has lost 7 of their last 9. Greg Gard.
We play good basketball at times, but we're inconsistent, and some of that's guys that get themselves in foul trouble. It's contributions off the bench. We can't lose water or momentum. As I always say, when guys come off the bench, we can't go backwards, and so it's that. And when you really get in the real trenches of these type of fights, it exposes the grit and that we need to continue to spread and build throughout everybody that steps on the floor.
That's Badgers head coach Greg Gard. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Pete with a 60-second Showbiz Beat. Here's one of Pete's picks. There is a ton of content available these days, and it's hard to keep up. I recently just started watching Abbott Elementary, and I recommend it. The show is set in an underfunded public school in Philadelphia and tackles all the problems that overworked and underpaid public school teachers have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. In one hilarious scene in the pilot, the shorthanded staff has a custodian watch one of the classrooms and uses a quick cutaway to show him educating the kids about the Illuminati. The spit take lives, folks. In thoughts that should have been left unsaid news, actor Brad Cooper says he is naked all the time at home around his family. Cooper told Dax Shepard on his podcast it's no big deal because his dad was naked all the time around him, and they even showered together. Cooper said, "My bedroom, the bathtub, and toilet, and the bed are all in the same room." And they say actors are weird. The new Walking Dead spin-off, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, is AMC Plus's biggest premiere in 6 years. The show, which features original Walking Dead star Andrew Lincoln as Rick Grimes, pulled in 3 million viewers over 3 days. Deadline reports it's now the most watched episode of any show in the history of AMC Plus. The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live is now the 6th spin-off in the TWD universe. You can catch the show, which stars Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, on Sunday nights. The second season of the show Reacher recently dropped. I watched it all, so you don't have to. Just kidding. It's not terrible, but it lacks a certain charm the first season had. There is a lot to like if you enjoy watching Alan Ritchson, an actual giant of a human being, opening several cans of whoop-ass per episode. In some scenes, our hero runs right at trained killers who shoot at him point blank but miss. Apparently lifting weights makes you bulletproof. Great thing for kids to know. If the music to Beyoncé's new country song Texas Hold'em sounds familiar, it might be because you were a fan of the cartoon Franklin growing up. Some fans thought the singer sampled the show's music, which probably had professional samplers Vanilla Ice and Kid Rock jealous. Social media-ites were all over the spectrum, with some implying theft and some saying there's only a vague similarity. Franklin theme song composer Bruce Cockburn weighed in, saying that the song shares only a similarity in rhythmic feel, but that it's all Beyoncé's. The song made Beyoncé the first ever black woman to reach the top of the country charts. Joyce Lipinski, widow of Richard Lewis, took to social media to thank fans on Twix for the loving tributes to her hilarious husband who passed away last week. Deadline reported that Lipinski encouraged those who miss her husband to honor him by donating to his charity, ComedyGivesBack.com. Lewis will be missed. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio.